I hope you had a wonderful Halloween. Maybe you had a lovely party or went trick or treating with your kids. Maybe you went to a haunted house or were a scare actor in one of those haunted houses. Anyway, I hope you had a wonderful time. We had a blast ourselves. We had some wonderful gigs. We could make some monsters and zombies, and well, it is time to get back to reality and just continue normal life and wait until the next Halloween. So for today's video, I thought that I would keep it simple, but I would answer a question I have heard loads of times during this Halloween season. And that question was, what is the difference between the wax by Ben Nye and the wax by Mehron? Because they are both a wax, but they are very different. And I thought, well, let's just make a YouTube video on this so I can answer that question for everyone. Let's start off with the color of the waxes. As you can see, the wax by Ben Nye is a bit darker than the wax by Mehron. But when you look at their consistency, they are very different as well. If you use the wax by Ben Nye, you can just scoop it from the jar and put it on the skin directly. But if you want to use the wax by Mehron, there is a little step you have to take before you can actually apply it on the skin. So if you scoop a little bit of this wax from the jar, you cannot apply this directly to the skin. What you want to do is massage it, and with doing this, it becomes more flexible. So you need to work it a bit before you can apply it to the skin. So I will show you what the difference is when you want to put the wax on your skin. I will first put down a thin layer of Prosade, and I will just make 2 very small wounds on my forehead for this today. So this will be the Ben Nye side of my face, and the glue of course helps the wax to stick to the skin better. So I just scooped a little bit of the wax by Ben Nye directly from the jar, and I have rolled it into a little roll. So I will put it on the glue, there it is, and then I can just fairly easily flatten this wax on the skin. So I will get some petroleum jelly to even smooth this out better. And as you can see, for coloring, it's quite okay, this wax. So I have a bit of petroleum jelly that prevents the wax from sticking to my spatula. And I can just even this out very easily and very nicely. A bit of glue on the other side of my skin as well for the Synwax by Mehron. And I have scooped a bit from the jar, and I will just massage it between my fingers until it becomes as flexible as I need it to be. I'll also roll this into a little worm and put it over the glue. The spatula with some petroleum jelly. And then I am going to even this out a bit more as well. So as this wax is a bit harder or thicker or sturdier than the wax by Ben Nye, you do have to put a bit more pressure on it to distribute it over the skin. And as you can see, there is a color difference between the two. So there is both of the waxes on my skin. Not perfectly, but they are on there. I have a stipple sponge with some petroleum jelly on there, just to flatten that wax out a bit more. This is to give kind of a skin texture to the wax. There you go, it's good enough. Yes. Let's do the same thing with the Synwax. So you have to push a bit harder on this one because it is thicker than the wax by Ben Nye. Now it's time to make the wound. So the Ben Nye wax you can really play around with because it is so soft. It will very easily do what you want it to. There is my Ben Nye wound. And let's try to make something similar with the Synwax. So just start somewhere and turn the spatula. And that is both of the cuts on my forehead. So as you can see, the Synwax matches my skin tone a bit better than the Ben Nye wax. Not that that is really relevant at this point, but I wanted to show you how you can get the wax on the skin. So they work kind of similar, only you have some extra work using the Synwax by Mehron, because you have to massage it between your fingers, and before you have it on your skin in a nice flat layer, it does take a bit more work than you have when you use the wax by Ben Nye. So I'm gonna powder both of these using the color set powder I have by Mehron, so we can continue to coloring our wounds. So I left all my good brushes at home. I forgot to take them to the studio, and that is why I don't have the best brushes to use today. But well, I have a bit of powder and I will just put it over both of the wounds. It makes it easier to color them in a bit. So that is the Ben Nye wax. This is the Synwax. So I'm kind of starting to regret that I left my brushes at home. I have to work with this one to create my makeup for today, and well, it will be fine, but I prefer my Titanic FX brushes, of course. So for the coloring, I'm going to work with the blood palette I have by Encore, a lovely alcohol activated makeup palette, and I will just color the inside of the wounds. The outside is kind of my skin tone already, and with a little bit of blood I can disguise the difference that is in, well, both of them actually. It's a slight difference, but there is a difference. But for now I will first do the inside of the wound with the Encore palette. Now I will start out with the lightest color of red that is in the palette. Oh my god, let's do the same thing with the Synwax wound by Mehron Synwax. Yes, that was the lightest color of red. Let's continue with a darker red. And then it's time for the blood. I have some sinewy blood gel by Vermilion FX, one of my favorite blood gels to put in the wounds. I know the wounds are just very, very, very small, but I do want a bit of that gel to be on there, and I will put it in the wounds using my spatula. So I have really missed recording YouTube videos. I know that must sound strange. I was just on this channel last Monday, but I have had those videos prepared during August and September. So it has been a month since I have recorded any video here in my studio. Ooh. Yes, that is blood. I have made a mess of the end of my Synwax wound. For the liquid blood, of course, I'm going to work with Mold Life blood, and this is the venial blood. I'm going to put it on the skin using the same brush I just used with the alcohol activated makeup. Main reason is I don't have any other real brushes available to me at this point, but it will work. I have put a bit of the blood on a mixing palette, and I will just brush it into and around that wound. So yeah, I know there is too much blood on the outside, but that will be fine in just a minute. Let me quickly put some blood on the Synwax wound as well. So I have a little wet towel, and I will just mop up any blood I don't really need on my wound. This is easier if you use a baby wipe, and as you might guess, I have also don't have any baby wipes available to me at this point. This will probably work a bit better than what I was just using. So gently mop up any blood you don't want to be on or around that wound. Be careful you don't remove all of the blood gel That was the base of your wound. So that is way too orange still. Just remove it until you think it looks good. There, both the wounds are on my skin. The Nose and Scar Wax by Ben Nye, the Synwax, and as you can see, both of these wounds look wonderful. So if you would want to go to a party with these waxes, you would have to be a bit more careful with the Ben Nye wax, as it is softer wax. It is easier to change its shape when it's on the skin than it is with the wax by Mehron. So I could wear both of them to a party. That is not what I'm saying, but you just would have to be a bit more careful with the Ben Nye wax than you would have to be with the Mehron wax. So both of them are wax, so they will be able to keep changing shape and they will be affected by touching it, but it's a bit more with the Ben Nye wax than it is with the Mehron wax. But as you can see, you can make basically the same kinds of wounds with them. So you have been to your party and you had loads of fun, you get home and you want to take your makeup off. Because these two waxes are different, it's kind of different to remove them from the skin as well, and that is why I'm going to show you today how to remove the wounds. So as the Ben Nye wax is quite a soft wax, you can just get your spatula out again and remove the wound in, well, almost one go. There is still some alcohol activated makeup on my skin, but well, with this it is almost gone. When you want to remove the Mehron Synwax from the skin, because it is a bit tougher wax, it takes a bit more work to remove it. Well, this is a very thin wound, but when you make larger things, it would take a bit longer to remove the wax by Mehron than it does to remove the wax by Ben Nye. So there is a bit of the wax left on both sides of my skin, and that is why I have this live wipe. These are by Mold Life and my absolute #1 remover. So I just rub that oil that is in the live wipe over the wax by Ben Nye, and as you can see, it all just disappears. Let's do the same thing on the other side of my skin. There is a bit more resistance from the wax by Mehron, but as you can see, it also just vanishes with this lovely, lovely, lovely little live wipe. And that is all about the differences between the waxes by Mehron and Ben Nye. Well, I hope you have found this video informative. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay tuned on all the videos we upload to this channel. For now, I wish you a wonderful day, and of course, I hope to see you back again.